Welcome to Breaking the Lines Pod. I'm Arland.
My name is Akeem, and this is a Premier League podcast.
All right, man. Match week 20, a weekend match week after that, midweek match week. How you doing? How's it going? Were you able to catch any games this weekend?
Yes, sir. Another good match week. I was able to catch most of the games this week, so should be a lot more insightful on my details and everything. But yeah, I watch a lot of games.
I am the opposite of you this week. I didn't watch too many games. I did look at some highlights and stuff like that, but just wasn't able to catch a lot of stuff. But good match week overall. I mean, Aston Villa kicked us off with a 3-1 victory at home against Forest. I think you actually had this 3-2, so you were the closest out of the two of us.
Yes, sir. I was able to watch this game. It was a good game. I think I watched it. I wouldn't say tight. Villa was the better team up until the first goal. And then obviously the floodgates kind of opened up to a double for John McGinn and a cracking strike from Watkins. So yeah, it was a good game. I enjoyed it, I would say.
I think this was a keeper was out again on one of
Yeah,
McGinn's
keeper
goals.
keeper made a mistake on the second goal, and then he went down injured, I should say.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny to see because me and my brother-in-law was watching it, and I was like, yeah, he's gonna act injured now, and he did exactly that, bro. But it was like, I don't know, it was more of a Villa game already. I don't even know
Uh,
what he was doing out there that far in that kind of phase of play. So yeah, that was funny to see.
I have to say I'm sort of disappointed in Forest the last couple weeks just because I know you and I discussed them at City and they gave City a pretty good tough match and I guess we were just I was just expecting them to kind of pick it up a bit, get a little bit more points or give teams a little bit more fight. And again, I didn't watch this game, so I don't know how they played. But, just looking back at the last couple of games, their home loss to Everton, and this result here away to Villa, which is kind of hard to be disappointed in them just because Villa's been on very good form so far in the last, I'd say 12, 13 games or whatever it is. But just kind of, after a little bit of a revival under Sean Dyche, it seems like they've hit another wall.
Yeah, I think I can agree with that analysis, as they would say from your review there. But yeah, watching the game, I would definitely agree with what you said there. I was going to touch on that later as well when we talked about Forest. I think they were a little bit underwhelming. Like I said, Villa was a better team up until the first goal, and then the floodgates kind of opened up from there. But I just felt watching the game throughout the whole 90 minutes that Forest just didn't offer much. I don't know if you're able to see their goal, but their goal came from, I mean, it was a good pass, but it was also like a mistake as well, kind of a deflection right into Gibbs' White path. And I mean, a great finish and everything else on his path, but it wasn't anything that Forrest created, you know what I mean? And we've been very heavy on them past couple weeks, like we said. They look a lot more creative under Sean Dyche, also stable at the back. Not so stable, but he normally brings stability to a team, so they tend to look a little bit more stable, and they were bringing some creativity as well. So from that, I can agree. I think they were a little bit underwhelming. I mean, I know where they are in the table and what the expectation should be, but even judging based on just that 90 minutes, I think they could have played a lot better. And I think they will agree as well. Obviously, 3-1, the scoreline definitely kind of reflected how the match went, and it probably could have been more as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll see. We'll see kind of, what their next fixture is looking like when we do the predictions. But, kind of, I don't know. I guess West Ham didn't have a good week, so it's not bad for them. But I think that, they have to pick up some points to distance themselves a little bit. But next game, Brighton Burnley, 2-0 victory for Brighton. And I had 2-1, the closer of the two of us, kind of flipped the two games, right? I had draw in the first game, and you had draw in the second game. I watched a bit of this Burnley or Brighton game, I should say, and
Mhm.
it was kind of, what I sort of expected. I did think that Burnley would put up a little bit more of a fight. I thought that they would get a goal, but, Brighton in the end come away with the 3 points, and Brighton's kind of been, I guess, not like a sleeper team or something like that, but they've just been kind of going about their business quietly. I mean, they're picking up points. They're sitting in pretty good, decent spot on the table. So, good season for them so far, I think.
Yeah, it was a great result for Brighton. Like you said, I predicted a draw and I thought along with you that Burnley would give Brighton a little bit more show. And I felt like it was a good performance from Burnley as well. It wasn't the end of the world performance, but they tend to kind of, I guess I want to more lean towards the side where I give credit because I know, a lot of people more like to kind of, take away the credit or whatever the case might be in this 10. But I don't know if you watch, but believe their second goal came and they've given away a couple goals from that this season, but their second goal came from them playing out the back, and I think people tend to kind of criticize those teams, especially when they're down and about the area where Burnley are to not play their style. But Burnley has been steadfast in their belief in terms of what they're doing.
Yeah.
So you kind of have to give them credit. They're not picking up the points, but yeah, some mistake. I think it was a decent performance, like I said, from Brighton, 2 goals. And yeah, but yeah, some mistakes. I'm sure Burnley feel like they could kind of fix if they were to play the game again. But yeah, a good victory for Brighton, like you said, and they're just kind of not a sleeper team because we know from the nickname Brighton Munich that they can be a good team. So from them just, like you said, little by little going about their business and picking up the points as much as they can in a decent position in the table right now. So yeah, I think it was a good result. I expected a little bit more from Burnley, but it's not something it's a 2-0 is not like they blow them out the water. So I think it
Yeah.
was a fair result.
Yeah, absolutely. And I watched the first half of this game, and then I switched over to the second half of the Wolves game just because of what was going on there. I mean, it was the result of what feels like the season, right? But first half, you are right. I think Burnley kind of, me thinking back to it now, I think Burnley did play decently in the first half. It was a little bit more tighter. But yeah, I think good victory overall. And Burnley will see kind of, I mean, I don't think that they, have enough to stay up, but we'll see. I've been impressed by them when I've watched them. I feel like they're a decent team, just, missing the ability to win games, right? Because every game I've seen them, they've kind of given a game to their opposition, and it's been tight and not necessarily cagey, but tight, and they've been putting up a decent fight. So we'll see kind of how that goes. But um, we can move to Wolves, and it was a full moon, and sure enough, Wolves got 3 points, man.
Hey, table wise, might be looking like the worst team, but over 90 minutes, I think they proved that they're not the worst team in the Premier League. And it's not something that I don't know about you, but it's not you, definitely not for you, because I believe you predicted a win. I
Yeah,
predicted a draw, but we've talked about it. They've given a lot of teams, not just I'm not talking about teams in and about where they are. They've given lots of teams problems this season. So I think it was a fair and final great result for them and good for you as well to see it because I saw a draw coming from it. I thought West Ham would do something. But yeah, also a good performance. I was able to watch that full game, so just a good performance from Wolves. I think the start of the game, you could tell their intent. The first goal, and even before the first goal, they had chances as well. And they kept going. So yeah, I think like you said, probably the result of the season. Definitely going to be our team of the week for sure. So
absolutely. It's
um,
funny, I predicted Wolves to win, but in my slip for one of my slips for the weekend, I actually had West Ham over 1.5 goals. So this was 3-0 at halftime, and that's why I switched over to watch this game in the second half. And I'll tell you what, I mean, the performance by Wolves was so strong. It almost, it was interesting to see because West Ham didn't manage a shot on target the whole game, right? So I think that just kind of shows, Wolves and
their
um
intent from the way they started was like I said, even before the first goal, they were on top of West Ham and just to watch a game, like when you watch football with your eyes rather than just come in and seeing the stats, they completely deserve the 3-0 win.
absolutely, absolutely. And they double their points, 6 points. I think I texted you during this game, and I said something like the Great Escape or something. So we'll see. But I mean, you watch Wolves and you watch West Ham, and not just this game, but the last couple weeks. And Wolves have, like you said, have been giving teams issues where West Ham just seem like they're just, there to complete the 90 minutes and move on, right? So interesting to see. I mean, I know Wolves are still a ways back, but you never know. It's the Premier League, right?
Yeah, I think it will be interesting to see. Like you said, now thinking about it, they're on what, 6 points, doubling their point tally. And I believe West Ham is on 14. So hey, we're not saying that it's possible or whatever, but I'm just saying I think we've seen stranger things than that has happened. And Wolves, in my opinion, if you ask me which one of the teams that I'd want to go against, I'd probably say West Ham. I'm sure you probably agree with, and especially if facing them more recent than we have. So I would say, yeah, they've looked a lot more solid in my opinion. It's been unfortunate that they haven't gotten the result, but they've
Yeah.
looked a lot more solid.
Absolutely. Well, we'll see kind of how that plays out, especially in the next couple of match weeks. Next up, we have Bournemouth hosted Arsenal, and Arsenal come away with a 3-2 victory. And I think you actually, well, I think we both predicted 3-1, so pretty close, almost had it.
Damn, that guy Truvert, man, on that was a good goal to take it to 2 goals, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was able to watch this game. I watched the game in entirely. So yeah, it was a good game. I think a good performance from Arsenal. Declan Rice looked really well. I thought watching this game, also from the neutral point of view, I thought Nani looked really positive starting the game and throughout the game. I know he didn't get any assists or anything to reflect, but I think he looked just a lot more positive on that right side going down, giving Saka a break. And yeah, I was able to watch. It wasn't a vintage Arsenal performance, but like I've been saying for the past couple weeks, getting the job done is probably more important for them, especially as we pan to the result that happened to City the day after. So yeah,
Yeah. I agree with you. I don't think it was a vintage performance, but I actually enjoyed this performance, and the reason I enjoyed it is because we went down early to Gabriel mistake. We went down 1-0, and we kind of responded right away. I think it was like about 5 or 6 minutes later or something like that. So I liked that, and then going on to win the game, I think just kind of showed a little bit of grit that was good to see, but. Again, good 3 points. You're right, absolutely right. Nani played well, and it's interesting. Every time I've seen him in an Arsenal shirt, I thought he's played decent. I mean, like he's been dangerous. Probably one of the most dangerous players on the pitch for Arsenal every time I've seen him play. And he's a little bit of a different player to Saka. He's more of a direct, I'd say,
100%.
will take you, beat your defender sort of more directly. Saka's more of like, I think, working around you versus Nani's coming straight at you. So I think that's kind of good to have. And I enjoyed watching him play too up until, when he got taken off. And Declan Rice with a brace too. I think it was good to have him back after that kind of injury scare midweek. But overall, good game, good 3 points. And I think, we kind of move on and wait. But you're absolutely right. What a goal by Krupi there at the end. I mean, that strike was
Oh,
was
that's
amazing.
who it was. Sorry.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was the other guy too. I thought it was Tavernier too. But I'm just looking at the goals now, and it was Krupi. I mean, phenomenal
Yeah.
strike. I saw him hit that, and I was like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I mean, hey, for me, it just takes it like that Chelsea account on Twitter. Every time Arsenal concede, it's at 14 now, mate.
I
So
actually
that's all we want.
I actually was watching that too, and I think we're getting close. What are we, a goal away now?
Yeah,
Um,
just one goal. And I
so
mean, 20 games. Bro, that is a tough record. But I mean, you have to give also credit to it too, because since that has happened, we haven't had a team. I don't think I've been watching the Prem since that has happened. And we haven't had a team that we've projected to because we all kind of, even when City went on their 100 points, right? We never thought that. So I think it's just credit, at least, whether it happens or not. Obviously, football fans going to take the mick out of it. But yeah, I mean, I've been telling you for the past couple weeks, but it's a good side. It's a top side, obviously. And going through the winter phase now, as you can see, on phase, as you guys will see, not necessarily on phase, but kind of on scratch, getting your wins and picking up your points, whether the performances are top or not. I mean, that's more important. And we'll talk about it in the Man City performance versus Chelsea when we touch on that games. Yeah.
yeah, Absolutely. Well, that kind of takes us into Sunday, and first up we have Leeds United, and United get a point, which we kind of both predicted them to lose this game, and ultimately I think this was
They were
the
losing.
yeah, they were. This was the last game under the reign of Ruben Amorim. I don't think either one of us saw that necessarily coming, even if they had lost this game, just, based off kind of their season and how they've been kind of going through this Amorim, I'd say, managerial kind of stint. So um definitely a shock for me there. But ultimately, I think, I don't know, man. I kind of have to, like, I've been reading a lot of things, and I think a lot of it has kind of come down to he was unhappy with kind of his squad and the players he had. And I don't necessarily think you can fault him for that, because I just don't think that he has a squad that is a top four squad in terms of individual players. I think that they brought in Seshko and Buemo and Buemo and Cunha, we expected to be, players that are prem proven and come in and kind of change that team, especially going forward. But they've struggled for goals recently. Cunha's not been great, and I know he had a goal in this game, but it's tough for me to kind of look at that team and say, yeah, I think this team, regardless of who comes in, can finish in the top four.
Yeah, I have to agree, man. I think along with Amarin, Maresca, as you see most of these coaches, it's gonna be for me. I think it's going to be difficult, but obviously I've also never seen this as well, so I'm going to just sit back and also learn from the moment and see what happens because I think these big clubs are trying to bring in sporting directors and the owners and stuff are being involved and etc. It's not just one guy. I think I could see it kind of happening, not necessarily when we did the pod last week, but I was able to watch all those games, well, most of those games that day because, and then after that came out, I saw the press conference release. It was all over NBC News and stuff, and just Amarin basically saying he came there to be the Manchester United manager and not the head coach. And Rebecca Rebecca on NBC actually said she feels like this is the beginning of the end, like the Enzo Maresca 48-hour interview, etc. And I kind of felt that as well, especially with it being so fresh in my memory for the Maresca one. So I kind of felt that. I didn't know wake up on Monday that it was gonna happen, but I think it's an issue. It's gonna be interesting. I think for me, I'm a Chelsea fan, and obviously the blueprint is. It's funny because I see Arsenal fans. There's a couple. I'm sure you've seen the ones. I'm not going to necessarily mention names, but I'm sure you've seen the ones that necessarily want Arteta to be out of a job or whatever the case is. But I think it's going to be interesting going forward with these sporting directors and these owners running the club the way they want it to be, because I don't necessarily know how you're going to bring or build stability from that. Maybe they can in terms of the sporting director bringing the players in and whatever manager is there kind of just take their job and will work. But I still think you need some say from the manager, and it's interesting to me to see that these big clubs are hiring these managers and not even giving them the chance to pick certain players. Especially when you put them on a long-term contract. You got to remember that both of these managers that we're talking about was not any 1-year contract or 2-year contract. They're all on long-term for the future. I know Amarin was on three seasons. Maresca was on 5. So yeah, it's just interesting for me to see because I think the successful way to go is to go, as you can see with Arsenal that we are talking about. And we just talked so fondly about how they just went through a winter break unscathed, didn't really drop any points, winning games, whether they're playing beautifully or not beautifully. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting because, like you said, I do agree. I agree with Amarin. I also agree with Maresca that you need to give the coach a say, and if you're not giving the coach a say, like I said, I just think it's going to be interesting going forward to see how successful these teams are going to be. Because I think any top team that we look at, Arsenal, Man City, whatever, your coach has a say on the transfer or the players that you bring in at least. So yeah, I agree with you. I don't think they have a top 4 team. But we've seen the league. The league is kind of, I think for this year, it's kind of disappointing as well. Liverpool having one of the worst seasons they've had and they're in the top 4. So, I mean, what do we know about what a top 4 team is this season? You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's probably one of the only things that's kind of like a saving grace for the Chelseas and the Uniteds this year is the fact that, Liverpool's not been doing great and is kind of sitting in that 4th spot right now. Obviously, Villa's in 3rd, but, I don't think with Villa, just because of the proven sort of history or the last couple seasons, I don't think you can kind of solidify them and say they will absolutely finish there. So I think there are two positions that's kind of up for grabs depending on, how I'd say the rest of the season goes. It's tough to say
I
absolutely
agree.
two, but just because of how far ahead Villa are from Chelsea and United, but that fourth position for sure, just because, we've seen Liverpool's kind of struggles this season. And I think they've gone on, they're even now on this 9 game unbeaten run. And we look at where they are after 9 games unbeaten, and they're only 3 points in front of Chelsea and United. So I think, given kind of, those two teams getting some results and stuff, they could see themselves in and around that top or that fourth place for sure. But again, it's one of those things that we're gonna have to kind of see and pay attention to, just to see
And
how it
five,
develops, right?
five might give us the five. We might have five spot in Europe as well. So we'll save those
Yeah.
teams, like you said. But
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. But it's gonna be interesting to see who United bring in, if they choose to bring in a full-time replacement right away, kind of like what they did last year with Ruben, or if they go interim to the end of the season, um, and who that might be. It's gonna be interesting to see.
my United
Um,
brothers, we are cooked. That's all I'm gonna say. We United and Chelsea, we are cooked. We just watch football for the enjoyment of it now.
yeah. Well, I've been there, so I know what it feels like.
Brings us into this entertaining game of this weekend, right?
Yeah,
Nice hat trick
absolutely.
from Igor, Brentford, Everton, 4-2 result for Brentford.
Yeah, it was just funny. This is the highest scoring game of the week or the weekend, and I honestly thought that this one would not see more than 2 goals in it or three.
Yeah,
Just because given sort of both of those two teams, I guess, results the last couple weeks, I just didn't see goals in this game. And sure enough, I mean, 6 goals. Like you said, hat trick by Thiago. You didn't have him in your fantasy, did you?
I did not, man. I actually sold him a couple weeks back for Hey, I can't be mad because Calvert Lewin has gotten me some points, so
Yeah. Yeah.
I have to be content with that. But yeah, I think obviously hate watching this game. Not hate watching, I would say, but when Brentford were winning comfortably, I was happy, and then I realized we had Jack Grealish, and of course, he had a hand in both of those goals that Everton scored. So yeah, but besides that, I think it was an entertaining performance, man. I enjoyed watching it. I was a little bit sad because out of this game, I was kind of keeping my eye more on the Newcastle game until the goals started flooding in. Obviously, there was an early goal from Thiago, but up until really that second goal in like the 50th minute, I was kind of keeping my eye on the Newcastle game because I just felt like that would be, like you said, I just felt like that would be kind of more an interesting game. But boy, did I miss out on watching like an absolute cracker, because it seemed like an entertaining game. But yeah,
Yeah, and it's interesting enough, this victory for Brentford puts them 1 point behind the two teams we were just talking about, the Chelsea and United. So that's interesting as well. I mean, when you look at the table, I think there's some teams that we didn't necessarily think would be where they are. And Brentford, I think for me at least, is definitely one of those teams.
I give shout out to Brentford, man. You can see it. I see the reactions from Tottenham fans. And I mean, hey, if I was a Tottenham fan, I'll probably have the same reaction because there's no way they look a lot better than your team that supposedly got their manager, you know? So, yeah, a great season so far, 20 games in, and Brentford's having an absolutely great season. So, long may it continue for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just looking at the predictions, and I think we both gave it to Everton. So I mean, even more impressive considering that we didn't
Yeah.
think that they would necessarily come away with 3 points from the Hill Dickinson Stadium. But we can kind of move into the next game, which is the Newcastle Palace game. Funny enough, I actually predicted 2-0 for this game, so somehow I got that spot on. I don't necessarily know how, but Newcastle keep coming away with points, right? They keep picking up points and slowly making their way up the table.
Hey, I think they were the better team. They scored an offside goal, which for me, I still, okay, maybe it's offside, but I still honestly think that one is way more onside than the other goals that I've watched this weekend. And I'm struggling to kind of obviously, with the replay and stuff, but when the live, for me, I was more mad from because they scored Anthony Gordon I have in my fantasy scored. And I was more mad because if you watch it, the ball went past him and then he scored. So I was more mad when the ball went past him because I was like, he's definitely onside. Wissa as well when Wissa received the pass and he was offside. But yeah, I think it was a deserved win. I think Palace looked a lot just all over the place. To be fair with you, not really there on the day. Yeah, and I think it was a deserved win from Newcastle. Yeah, both Amadi also, were on the bench. I started with Wissa and Gordon, made some change and bring Harvey Barnes and stuff on in the second half. But even first half, they applied a bit of pressure. I wouldn't say that they were all over Palace, but I would say they just edged it being a better team and finally found the goal. I know it was late in the second half, but they were creating chances, half a chances just to kind of get there. So yeah, I think it was a deserved victory on the day for Newcastle. Obviously, good for them picking up some points. And then for Palace, I think it's one of my first, not first performance watching them, but I just think it's a little bit probably worrying for them since they've been, kind of up and down. And I know, even what, did they lose the game now or did they draw that game last week? I believe the week before.
Drew
So
Fulham.
yeah, they
Yeah.
went to yeah. Fulham came back and tied with the 1-1 there. So yeah, I just could pick up a little bit more points, especially with teams that you would consider in and around the areas that they are. So yeah, but a good victory, I would say, for Newcastle.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that kind of moves us into the Spurs Sunderland game, and we both gave Sunderland the victory. Ended up in a tie. I watched bits and pieces of this game, and I think it was kind of the type of game that we expected it to be. Spurs had a little bit more chances, I'd say. What a goal by Brobby there! I saw that goal while I was watching it, and he just kind of rifled it into the net. I mean, Vicario didn't even move. I thought that was a decent goal. Again, I think it's a good point for Sunderland to pick up away from home. I know Spurs haven't been
Oh,
great at home.
a massive point for Sunderland. I mean, considering the fact that they were losing for most of the game as well. So massive point, I think, on their end, like you said. It more worrying signs for Spurs, as we've been saying. But yeah, I'm more focused on the Sunderland. What a great performance it was from them. And like you said, getting a point away from home. Just the season that they're having, I'm really impressed by them. To be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you. I don't think anyone necessarily expected this, and I think even everyone, all the analysts, before the season, I think that they were all saying Sunderland's going to be the first team to go down. So I think the way that Sunderland have played this season, you watch them and they're a mix of sort of everything, right? I
Mm.
mean, I think one of their sort of specialties and strongest suits is sort of being more direct and long ball. But I've seen them try and play out of the back a couple times this season. They have a
They're
good
very
defense.
adaptable.
Yeah, they're compact when they need to be. So, I feel like we're kind of like a broken record every week singing praises to Sunderland, but they deserve it. I mean, especially when you look at some of these established Premier League teams that are struggling this year,
And
like
also
the
six
Wolves, the
players.
West Hams.
Six
Yeah,
players away at
absolutely.
Aston. So you have to give them credit, man. That's what I'm saying. Like those things, are not easy, as we've seen in the Prem. We've been watching the Prem for a while, so for them to come up and take the Prem by storm like that is just a great story to watch. And like you said, it's nothing beats a factor. I think what we all love is like what we just spoke about with Burnley. Like I don't want to be the one really talking bad on Burnley in terms of trying to play out the back. It's just understanding the moment. And I think in terms of a team, especially a newly promoted team, like you just said, in terms of being adaptable at the right moment and the right time, we think Sunderland at the moment just have that closer balance to being the better team, obviously, out of that. So yeah, I think that's something admirable to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, good point there for Sunderland. Spurs kind of continue this season in the manner that they've been going through, but that can kind of lead us into the game at Craven Cottage, the Fulham Liverpool game, and I think
This guy thought, you know that meme where he's like, this guy thought he won a game.
it's crazy because that goal at the end there, I mean, absolute rocket, right?
It's gonna be one of the Premier League goal of the season, mate. You can't
Yeah,
catch a ball any sweeter than that.
absolutely. What a way to kind of get a point back, and I think you and I spoke about this too. The goal that was given that I think we kind of feel the same way on it.
Yeah, Wirtz was offside. But listen, I am a Christian man of Christian belief, so I'm gonna say this from my side. God Himself would have to come here and tell me that that's not offside, mate. I promise you. And I'm not trying to hate or nothing, but there's no way watching that goal you can tell me, and that's where I have the issue with the Witsa goal. Because I'm going off the blade of grass, and if the linesman or whatever, I mean the grass, the guy that cuts the grass gets it wrong, then fine, I'm wrong. But mate, there is no way I don't believe he's onside there. I can't believe watching that a million times over that he's onside. And even like the video, I don't know if I sent you that video, but it just did I send you the video about how they give like a pretty much a 5 milliliter, I don't know, like a grace period or somewhere, bro. But it's
No.
just confusing. I'm gonna find it and send it to you, but it's you can find now. Just go online, and I'm telling you, it's not a because I watched it. I watched a full game entirely here, and it was so funny because I said it to my brother-in-law watching it. I was like, he's offside for sure. And I kind of got back to what I was doing, expecting him to rule the game goal out, and then they gave the goal, and I was just in complete shock. So I don't know. I'd love for someone to come, like I said, and educate me a bit more on it because I honestly watched that over a couple, at least 15 times, and I still believe he's offside.
Well, I don't think anyone's gonna educate you on it because I like you believe that it's 100% offside. I think it's very easy to tell, and I don't think it's worrying that they gave the goal. I think it's more worrying that you have the technology of VAR because I understand in play linesmen
Not
might
just
not be able to
VAR.
see it, right?
All these auto semimated offside
Yeah,
as well. So it's not even just VAR, bro. Like
yeah.
it's just bizarre to me that that was able to pass. But like I said, I want to see it. I would love to for. I'm sure they're gonna release like those Premier League clips, but I think that was offside, mate. I think that was
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely. And again, I think another sort of I didn't watch the game. I watched bits and pieces of it, but I think another kind of I'd say worrying performance for Liverpool.
I wouldn't even
I
say
don't know.
worrying. It's just where their season is at the moment,
Yeah.
honestly. But it
Well,
just
yeah.
like
In,
I
in
said,
relation to that, right?
yeah.
I'll tell you this. I don't know a lot of Liverpool fans. You know that my brother is a Liverpool fan, and the couple that I know, obviously have been used to Liverpool kind of being decent, I'd say the last few years, and obviously winning the league last year. The couple that I know are not necessarily happy with the manager, and it's not like Liverpool to kind of get rid of a manager that quickly. But
It's also
I don't
like
know, man.
not, I feel like it's also, sorry to cut you, but I feel like it's also like not like them for their fans to be so, like they're more fans support their manager. They're
Yeah,
normally a like the manager kind of club. So yeah, it's interesting.
yeah. So that's exactly what I'm kind of trying to say, right? I think it's interesting to see Liverpool and their fans kind of be in that headspace. But you never know. I mean, he could be the next one that goes if performances in the next a few match weeks don't line up. I don't think that any of us thought that, Maresca was going to be gone. And then I know Ruben Amorim's had mixed results, right? But he's still kind of up there fighting for the top four where, I think a lot of people before the season started would have said, I still think that they're maybe a year away from kind of that challenge, right? So it's interesting, and I think you never know, right? He could be the next one that's gone too. For Liverpool, I think that it would be kind of very, I don't want to say like detrimental to them, but I think it wouldn't be a great thing for them to miss out on top four this season, especially given the fact that you know, the other challengers are not necessarily up to par. And then a year away from the Champions League, I think for them, obviously, we know kind of the financials and stuff. So I don't think it'll be necessarily great, especially because I think that they're headed for sort of somewhat of a rebuild, right? I think some of those older people in that squad eventually are going to have to transition out. So we'll see. We'll see. The scapegoat that Salah was before AFCON it's still kind of, not picked up for Liverpool in terms of them getting back to their winning ways. So it's interesting to see eventually he'll come back, I think, in the next couple weeks or so, kind of, where he integrates into that team. But brilliant point for Fulham overall, right?
Yeah, I think a good obviously point for Fulham with some good goals and deserving as well. They played well in my opinion on the day. Liverpool at the moment, like you said, just I think it's just based on context of where their season is, like I said earlier, and defensively, offensively, they seem to struggle a bit. They seem to be struggling just all over the pitch at the moment. And that's a coach's problem when it gets to that part. So yeah, I believe, like you said, it'll be interesting to see what happens to Slot as the season progresses because we've seen other managers in different position under more pressure than he is. And I mean, finishing top four for champions is the bare minimum, I would say. So Yeah, let's see.
All right. Well, that kind of brings us into the last match of match week 20, and what a game and what a result. 1-1 City Chelsea at the Etihad. Enzo Fernandez stealing a point late on there. I actually didn't watch the game. I don't know if I was talking to you or someone else, but I was actually watching something else and just kind of refreshing the score on my phone on the FootMob app, and it was 1-0 City, like the 80th minute or something, 84th minute, and I just kind of put my phone away and I was like, yeah, it's probably gonna end 1-0. And I think an hour or so later, I just picked up my phone to kind of check the scores, and it was already on the City Chelsea game. And I just like it refreshed automatically and it said 1-1, and I was like, no way, I not that I didn't believe that Chelsea would have got an equalizer, but it just seemed like it was late on. I could probably see how that game was being played out in my mind. And sure enough, Chelsea get a point and a decent point too. I mean, especially given kind of City's, I'd say, aspirations for the year or for the season and where they've been in recent weeks.
Yeah, I have to give massive credit to Chelsea, like we said before, even going into the game with the week that they've had, managerless and stuff like that. I thought honestly that it was going to be kind of shambles. I thought they would probably would lose the game heavily as well. And the indication in the first half almost, confirmed that because I think City was in that first 45 minute, probably the only team available on the pitch or just present on the pitch in general. By far the better team, but I think you have to give credit to them seeing the second half and change of shape and a change of mentality and everything. And they seem to look a lot better. I would say, obviously, City had more clear-cut chances, so they would argue that they deserve to win the game. But based on the second half, Chelsea was by far a lot more improved than they were in the first half. They couldn't be any worse. And pushed and got that goal, had chances to score as well. So it's not just the one chance that they had where they could have gotten the equalizers. I think credit to them, credit to obviously the under 21 manager for stepping in and helping them out. But a decent, I would say, second half performance. The first half performance was like anyone expected. A team without a manager, they kind of look managerless. No structures, no idea, no nothing. And then the second half, like I said, credit to them. And like we go back to saying what I was saying earlier, City, not just even in the first half, I know Chelsea was more impressive in the second, but City had everything that you'd want a team to have in their performances. Haaland hit the post, a couple saves from the goalkeeper, from deflected shots and stuff like that. But they had everything that you'd want from a performance point of view, but not the result. You know what I mean? And watching even a couple of their players afterwards, they were a little bit, the heads were dropped and etc. as it should be. But yeah, it just shows you, like I said, in football, especially now, it shows you how close, like we keep talking about how close the sport is. So if you're on top at one point, back in the day, it used to be, you're on top, you're going to be the team that's on top of the 90 minutes. But now things can change. You can be on top of 10 minutes and then the other team figure a way out to play against you. You know what I mean? And I think that's what happened to City on the day. And we have to give obviously credit to Chelsea because for them, it's a great result based on the week, but um, also a good result for Arsenal in terms of the title race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just going to say, I mean, I think given I mean, obviously it was a tough matchup for Chelsea, but I think, given the results of the other teams around them, I think it's kind of encouraging, right? The fact that, Liverpool in fourth didn't get 3 points. United, who's close to them, didn't get the 3 points and kind of overtake them. So I think it's encouraging that they had such a tough fixture and they kind of kept pace with those teams because, you could have easily seen yourself fall if Liverpool had won and Chelsea, or yeah, Chelsea had losses and United had won, you could have seen yourself fall behind. So I know it's still kind of mid-season, but
Those, like they say on the YouTube, the DR Sports that we have, those three teams, Liverpool, Chelsea, and Man U, we are mud brothers. One of us are gonna be, doesn't even matter, honestly. I'm talking from a Chelsea point of view, it doesn't matter for us whether we win or lose going, because I just know it's gonna be between those three teams. Whether Liverpool had won this weekend or Chelsea or whatever the case might be, you could have popped up next week and it would have been a defeat. You know what I mean? So for those
yeah.
teams, based on how the season is going, it's encouraging, but at the same time also not encouraging because they can't carry the load to kind of withstand. If they could, then easily, I think, like you said, that there's two positions that's just up for grab in our opinion would have been more solidified by now based on how the league is going. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not too in terms of I don't know what the aspiration is for Chelsea going forward. Obviously they want to finish top four, but I think even for this season, getting a new manager in is going to be difficult for them. For Liverpool, like I said, for a champion, the basic is or the bare minimum would be top four. And for United, if they're able to finish in top four, that would be a massive thing for them. So three teams have the motivation and fight to go. So let's see what happens.
Chelsea announced, I think, the appointment of Liam Rosenor today, right? On a is it 5 or 6 year contract?
6 year contract.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be interesting to see kind of how he comes in and sort of manages that team. I don't know much about the guy, but I think if Chelsea hired him, given even sort of what we believe is the shortcomings of the board and the sporting director and all that in recent years, I think it's interesting to see kind of what they see in him and for us to kind of see that as well. So um, I'm
Listen,
actually kind of excited to see how he comes in.
we've seen this ownership by Graham Potter, Enzo, and a few others. On the other side, I will always support Chelsea. I feel, obviously I'm a Chelsea fan, so I'm gonna always have that feeling in my heart for them. But as a Chelsea fan, I don't have much hopes. Need just like for the players, you need experience. And I'm not saying that he cannot come in and have a great time. I'm not gonna not support him or the team. It's just I think the expectation for Chelsea. That's why like going back to that top four finish has changed. So yeah, I think you kind of just have to watch from the outside and see what happens at the moment. They're clearly not what we would consider probably still a top six club, but I wouldn't consider them a fighting club, clearly, because as you and I have seen, but like what we said earlier in with the sporting directors and this new way of football, it's going to be interesting to see because we've never seen this before. So I'm also speaking from a point of view where I've never seen this work. So it'd be interesting for me to see, but from my point or my position, I would say for Chelsea and for Man U specifically, Liverpool has a chance to kind of, get out and hire a new manager because the squad is good enough to finish fourth or in the top four, I believe. But for Chelsea and for United specifically, I think it's going to be it's going to be interesting. I will just have to watch from the side. I don't have much hopes, but it will be interesting as we've seen everything. There's a first time for everything.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that can kind of take us away from this set of results in match week 20 and sort of looking ahead into 21. And I think we've kind of already established that Wolves is our team of the week. So, we can kind of really just jump right into to the predictions if you're ready.
Yes, sir.
All right, first up, we have West Ham, Nottingham Forest. This is an interesting game down at the bottom, and I think my instinct, I'm sure, kind of like yours, is to give it to Forest. But anytime you have these games down there, I feel like they always kind of
Tricky.
play out differently than what you expect, right?
Like that Brentford Everton game last week.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I'm gonna go 2-0 Forest.
Okay, I'm gonna go 2-2.
Okay.
No idea why, just going 2-2. Bournemouth Spurs. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna go 3-2 Bournemouth.
Okay.
High scoring.
I actually like that, and I was thinking of giving this to Bournemouth too. I'm gonna go 2-1 Bournemouth. Brentford Sunderland, another interesting game and another tough one to predict. Brentford's home, so I think they kind of have a little bit of edge, but Sunderland's been great this year. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I think this one is a tough one as well. Very difficult to call. I'm gonna go 1-0.
Okay, I like that result. I'm gonna go 2-2. I like the draw. Just
High
I don't
scoring.
know why I feel like it might be high scoring. Yeah.
Crystal
Um,
Palace versus Villa.
Another interesting game. I don't know, man. I think I should give it to Villa, just given Crystal Palace's kind of form as of late. They are home though. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go high scoring game. I'm gonna go 3-2 Villa. What are you thinking?
I'm gonna go 2-1, our favorite result for Crystal Palace the other way actually. I think they have to pick something up from this game. So I have to put 10
Okay,
down at Villa run.
I like that. Everton Wolves, tough game. Tough game.
Yeah, this one is an interesting game. I'm gonna go for a high scoring draw, not necessarily high scoring, but I'm gonna go 2-2 because I think Wolves would be just on a high from getting that 3 points last week, and also Everton is coming off of a Yeah, I still think Everton could win the game easily, but I'm gonna give Wolves because we've known how difficult it is to play against them. So I'm gonna go 2-2.
I like that. I'm gonna go 2-1 Everton just because I think Everton will just edge in. I think that David Moyes is kind of experienced enough to know kind of where Wolves is and set up his team to play the game more so. But I could see it being a draw as well. Next up, Fulham Chelsea. What are you thinking?
We have Chelsea edging this one just 2-1. Favorite result again.
Okay. I like that. I'm actually gonna go Chelsea winning, but I'm gonna go 2-0. I think that, given the fact that they have a new manager and they're kind of coming in, um, I think players will be kind of eager to solidify their spot. But we'll see. City Brighton. I think Brighton actually beat City earlier this season, so this will be a good, interesting game. See if City can
Yeah,
get one back. What are you thinking?
this one is interesting for me. I'm gonna go. I think City has to get back on map, especially being at home. I'm gonna go 3-1 City.
I like that result actually. I like that a lot. I'm gonna go 3-0 City. I think you're right. They have to kind of, after a couple of weeks of dropping points, I think they have to get back on. Burnley United. This is an interesting one too. I think Darren Fletcher is going to be the interim sort of or caretaker manager until they announce whatever they're doing. Burnley home, they played decently at home. I'm going to give this one a 2-2 draw. What are you thinking?
Yeah, this one's gonna be interesting. I'm not gonna give it a high scoring. I'll go 1-0 United. I think they've been decent enough. I think they'll find a new manager bounce.
I like that. Newcastle Leeds, another what should be a very good game. Given kind of both teams and how they've been playing lately. What are you thinking?
Interesting. I think this one, trying to look at some of their other results. I think Leeds will make it difficult, so I can't see. I'm gonna go 1-0. No, Leeds will make it difficult to score against them.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'll go 1-0.
Okay. I like that. I like the draw. I'm gonna give it to Newcastle 2-1, but I like the draw too. I think they drew at Ellen Road earlier this season. It was goalless, so maybe not a lot of goals in that as well. Last game, Thursday game, Arsenal Liverpool. What are you thinking?
Yeah, this one's big. I think Arsenal at the Emirates will push Liverpool finding it a little bit tougher later in the season. So I'm gonna go 3-1 Arsenal.
Okay. I like that. It's a tough one. I think I don't know. I feel like it could be a draw. It could be a 2-2. I want to give it to Arsenal, though. I want to give it 2-1 to Arsenal. But I could see it being a 2-2. All right. I think that kind of wraps up the predictions and match week 20 pod. How are you feeling going into 21?
I'm excited for it. I'm gonna see how it goes. As I think right now, I'm trying to see how many games I can catch. The Arsenal one's gonna be a bit difficult, but I just realized that's this week, so I'm excited because there's some interesting games.
Yeah. And I think that this is I don't think there's any Premier League at the weekend, so we'll be gone for a week or so. But interesting to see kind of where we leave off. Just looking ahead and there's some good games coming up too. So um interesting, exciting times, I think, in the Premier League all around. I mean, I think when we were doing the predictions, we kind of, most of the games we said were difficult to predict just given sort of teams
Yeah.
and their form and everything. So I think that makes it a little bit more interesting. But yeah, I think that concludes this pod, and that's all for me.
Sure, let's go into another beautiful week of Premier League football.
All right. Thanks for listening.